All right, welcome back to the Chatters Box. My name is Kyle McClellan, and I am joined with the Cardinals rookie Nolan Gorman. Nolan, thanks for joining us today and digging into the Chatters Box. I want to dive into a little bit of before you got to the Cardinals. Pretty impressive youth career. So talk about growing up in Arizona and kind of your high school days briefly, and then we'll get into minor league and big league days here in St. Louis.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I started playing baseball when I was 3 years old. Started with T-ball, coach pitch. Played Little League a couple of years, 2 years, and then just started going into travel ball at, I think, about 7 years old. Always played up in age. I don't know, why. I think that was, just kind of the coaches I grew up with, their sons were always a little bit older. So played up in age. I think it helped me quite a bit, just as far as competing and failing and, trying to learn how to be as good as those older guys. And, so did that. And then finally joined a team that was my age. And we ran together through, I think, to the beginning of probably freshman year of high school, and went to Cooperstown with that team. Did a lot of different tournaments, a lot of traveling with that team. And it was really, the team that I think developed me into kind of who I am today. And then went to another team in Florida when I got into high school, started playing bigger tournaments, and we had a really good team there, really close team. And did a lot of things together.
So your high school career, what was impressive to me is you had pretty consistent numbers from freshman year all the way through your senior year. It wasn't like, hey, getting my feet wet and then really spiked. I mean, you were from your freshman year, sophomore year, you were a solid hitter, already had power, already hitting for average, making a name for yourself, the home run champion in Florida, like you said. But then you were also part of Team USA. What was that experience like?
Yeah, with Team USA, it's, obviously super special to have USA across your chest. And I think the coolest thing was I was able to do it with, my buddy Libby, and then another guy, Mason Denenberg, from the same club team growing up. And, just kind of experiencing that. We had a really good group of guys all together, and we kind of just clicked as one unit, and coaching staff was really good. And, just being able to go out there and represent my country, and, ended up bringing back gold and, doing all that. So it was, super special to me, and one of the more exciting, moments I've had in my career.
So you mentioned Libby. So you and Matthew Libator have been teammates. When was the first year you guys were? How old were you when you guys were first together?
I want to say we were about 5 years old.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. I know people have talked about it a lot, since you guys came up, called up the same day. When he got traded over, we were on the Caravan together with the two of you guys and got to hear that story, of how close you were. But, there's millions of kids that play baseball. Very few get drafted. You guys are both drafted in the first round, supporting each other. Then all of a sudden traded the organization, come up together. And, Libby's been up and down, as most young guys do. It's hard to get up here and stay, kind of put your time in and go back down, work on some things and come back up. But that time you guys ever just look at each other and be like, what in the world? What is going on? Like, how in the world did this happen?
Yeah, I think when we both got drafted, obviously separate teams, we kind of, I wouldn't say we grew apart, but we, just kind of did our own things. Obviously, baseball season, super busy. So we kind of just did our own things for a little bit. Off season, we'd see each other a little bit. And, we'd just kind of talk about how crazy it would be if, we ended up playing on the same team one day, or, anything like that. And I want to say that next off season was when he got traded over here. And it was, I think it kind of, brought us back together, and not like we were ever apart,
right.
But, brought us back together, and, I think kind of lit a fire in both of us to, want to be up here and help this team win.
That's awesome. So it's just such a cool story. And so you get drafted first round by St. Louis, you come in, and I remember, so I was in spring training broadcasting some spring training games, and I'm down around the cage. And I don't think you were in camp, right? 2019, you were not in camp.
No,
but you came up a couple times.
Yeah.
And so you're taking BP before the game, and I was around the cage, and I was like, who is this kid? And they're like, oh, by the way, he was in high school last year. You know, and it was, I mean, you were 18 years old
Yeah.
at big league camp, getting some at bats, hit a home run, I think, in that first game there. But early on, I mean, somebody that I didn't know much about you, knew the name, knew the draft, but just the first time I watched you, I was like, this kid is different. And then to think, I can't imagine this kid in a high school uniform last year facing kids throwing, 86 miles an hour. Can't imagine the numbers he would put up. But you were impressive from early on, but then as you watched in that spring and you got some at-bats there, you could see, like, he's young, right? Like, there's some things that he's a little on his front side on his swing and things like that. So then 2 years go by and you come up, and to me, you're a totally different hitter. Do you think that's accurate? Or what are those changes that you made from being a young kid to now? Because you came through the system, relatively quick, especially for a young position player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're completely right. I am a completely different hitter than I was when, I was coming up 2 years ago. It's just small adjustments, nothing too crazy, but, pretty much just leveling out my swing and not being so steep into the zone, and kind of fixed a little bit of swing and miss here and there, especially on, pitches down the middle and whatnot. So last year was a good year for me, as far as, seeing it all kind of work out from 2020, working all of that COVID year, and then 2021 finally getting to put it to work. It was good to see, and we're just working every day on trying to keep that, because I've swung a certain way my whole life, and now I'm just making these small adjustments here and there. I gotta just each and every day just come out and try to improve on the little things that I'm working on. So. But nothing crazy as far as huge swing adjustments, just small things here and there that, just help me get better and be able to compete at this level.
So when you talk about COVID, explain that year, because I think about it from my standpoint, and I was like, man, the minor league guys are the guys getting hosed in this, and nobody even knows or cares because they don't understand it, right? But, I mean, you're missing a whole year of development. I know they tried to do some mini camps and get guys as much as they can, but the minor league season got canceled, correct?
Yeah.
So most guys aren't playing. And, what people don't realize is that minor league life is very short-lived, right? I mean, you're trying to develop every year. So there's a whole year taken away. What did you do during that time? How did you continue to try to improve and get better when, there was no games being played?
Yeah, I think spring training was canceled or postponed, whatever, in March, and so I went home, hung out for a little bit, wasn't really sure what was going to happen, if we were going to start up, in just a little bit after that. Started here, things probably weren't going to start up, especially in the minor leagues. So we got a pretty big group together. I think at some point we probably could have fielded two teams and played an actual game, but we got a lot of minor league guys together out in Arizona, and just started doing a lot of live ABs out there just to stay ready.
All different levels.
Yeah, literally. I mean, some guys had big league experience, some guys, low A, rookie ball, whatever. It didn't really matter. We just wanted to get as many guys as possible to be able to continue to develop.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really cool to see. I think there was a couple different groups. I know there was a group in California that was working, kind of doing the same thing as we were. I had a couple buddies over there doing it. And I think, that was huge for a lot of guys, because they could continue to develop, and they're around, some guys that had experience in the big leagues or whatever. So everyone was just talking baseball and having a good time, kind of, stress-free out there. But then I ended up going to the alternate site in Springfield and being able to continue working with the coaching staff here and, continue my development over there.
Yeah, that's just, to me, mind-blowing, like to have a whole year where you're off and lose that momentum and lose the training and instruction that you have. And then so you jump back in and obviously didn't miss a beat, do well, start out this season in Memphis. And obviously you're the talk, right? So everybody's like, when's he coming up? When's he coming up? There's other guys that are coming up ahead of you. Like, how did that play with you? Were you paying attention to that? Did you hear that chatter? How did you stay focused in what you were doing and continue to put up big numbers there in Memphis?
Yeah, I mean, I think, for me, I'm always happy when someone gets called up for the first time. to go live out their dream of playing in the big leagues. So it wasn't really a thing of, when's it my turn? Why aren't they calling me up? Why are they calling these other guys out? That's not going to do me any good to worry about that stuff. Just be excited for those guys that get the opportunity to do it, and then, want to go up there and do it with them. And it was good to see guys like Yepez and Donovan come up here and Palante start the year here and have success right away. And for me, it kind of drove me even more to have more success down in Memphis to, have them call me up and come do it up here, with those guys that I've come up through the system with. So that was, it was super awesome to have, Donovan and Yepez come up here, and get to hear BJ tell them that they're coming up and everything, the manager down in Memphis. Mm-hmm. So it was a good time. We got to celebrate with them, and then, when it was my turn, just come up here and try to play the same game.
Yeah, that's got to be nice to see other guys come up, have success. It gives you the confidence that, hey, when it is my turn, I know I can play with those guys. I know I can do the same thing they're doing. Yeah. One change that had to happen for you is they made a trade for a pretty good third baseman. So when that happens, you're in the minor leagues and they come to you immediately and say, hey, we got a guy that's, going to be at third base for a long time. We want to transition you to second base. What is that transition like? And I'm also curious has Skip Schumacher at all, played a role in giving you any tips? Because I played with Skip, and he made that change from outfield to second base. And now third base to second, probably a little easier transition than outfield to second that Skip had to do, but still making that adjustment here at the major league level with the expectation of that. Just talk a little bit about that change.
Yeah. When that whole thing happened, it was kind of, I don't know, I'd say maybe eye-opening to, the business side of baseball and, wanting to get the best players for your team to win. And, I had a choice to make. Either I, sit there and be like, why'd they just do that? Or I'd figure out, play a new position and try to be in the same lineup as him and have success and help the team win as well. So that's what I did. I mean, I called Randy Flores and talked to him about it, and he said, how's second base sound? I said, great, let's go do it. And ended up going to spring training a little early that year, work with Cheo, and got good work down there, and just kind of progressed throughout the year last year at second base, and eventually just kind of came to me and had success in Memphis when I went up there, and I was kind of playing it more consistently, and I've loved it ever since.
What's the big difference? I mean, so you're on the infield, you're getting ground balls, so why is it different from third base to second base? What are the biggest changes you had to make?
I mean, third base, you're kind of like a hockey goalie. It's a step and a dive to most balls that you're going to get to, and at second base, you're able to range more, sprint for balls and dive for them, and I think probably one of the more challenging things is turning double plays. Obviously at third base, you're not doing that. You're the one throwing it to them. And so just being able to learn how to transfer and get a clean grip every time and make a good throw, make sure you get that out first at second base, and, really just figuring out which way you're going to go across the bag, everything. There's a lot of small details over there around the bag. But, like you said, Skip has been helpful over there as well. We've talked, quite a bit about second base and his transfer or his move over from the outfield there. So, he's played a big role in it as well.
Well, and Skip, I remember, they came to him and Tony said, we want you to play second. And he's like, man, I don't know why, but I'll do it. He put it in, and he was frustrated because in spring training, every air, he could feel it. And everybody's like, man, just stay with it. You're going to get there. Everybody understands what you went through. And ultimately getting him, that infield time made our team better. And Tony kind of saw that. And, a lot of credit for you to you for seeing that and understanding that, you can play third base in AAA, but that's not the goal, right? The goal is to be here. And you see it with Edmund. You see it with, so many guys when they come up. Yepez, I talked to Albert on this podcast, and when he first came, he's playing the outfield, and it's just like wherever I got to do to get there, and then you kind of find your way. So it's not easy. People think, well, it's just ground balls. It's the same. It is so much different. It is so hard, and the pressure to do it at this level. Because if you make a mistake, you sense that. You feel like you're letting your team down, and you're out of your comfort zone, right? Like, man, if I was at third, I wouldn't have made that error. But here I am trying to do this, putting myself out there as a young player. But it hasn't affected your offensive side, which has been extremely impressive as well. Your defense has been, I think, better than people expected and what they talked about. And offensively, people talk about power coming last. Your power hasn't come last. Your power is there as a young kid. And you don't see many lefties in this stadium go over the bullpen. Usually it ends in the bullpen, but you've had that power, and that's where I go back to high school. You had that power all the way through. That's always been a part of your game, hasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. It's, something I'm kind of trying to work on too is, knowing that my power is there and not having to do too much for that power to come out. So that's definitely something that, I think a lot of people, they've got that hit first and then the power comes later, like you're saying. I think for me, I got to, slow it down a little bit and, really take control of the box and get a good pitch to hit and know that if I get a good pitch to hit and I'm on time, that good things will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Albert, what's that been like? I looked it up before you came in. You were 14 months old when he made his debut. Have you ever told him that? Have you brought that up to him?
I think I did. We talked about it, I think one of the first times I got here to Busch. So, it's crazy, to think about that and to have watched him growing up and for literally my whole life, being in the same clubhouse with him and getting to talk and learn, just from his experiences. And, third time, all extra base hits, like it's crazy.
Yeah. So what's it like to be able to pick his brain? And the thing I was impressed about most of them is I'm assuming he's still the same way, but he works. I mean, he's in the lineup every day, and he would be one of the first ones here, and he would be in that cage taking hundreds of swings off the tee and doing all his work before he goes out. And it was always, for me, to watch our best player and the best player in all of baseball outwork everybody, set the tone for everybody else around.
Yeah.
Yadier Molina works too. I strongly believe Yadier Molina works hard because Albert Pujols showed him that this is how we're going to go about doing it. But what's that like watching his every day in and day out, routine of preparing himself to do what he does?
Yeah, I completely agree. He's, he's one of the first people here every day, putting in work and you've seen over the last couple of days, it's been, translating to in-game. It's been, unbelievable for my development and my career. I think just watching him at, the end of his career be able to still put in the work and have the drive to go out there. Me as a young player, 22 years old, see that out of someone, 20 years older than me. It's just, it makes me want to do good for him. It's kind of, it's one of those things, like more of like a respect thing for him, put in the work so that he has a chance, for a World Series at the end of the year or something, so.
And you don't want to let him down. You don't want him, you don't want him to look at you and be like, come on, man, you're not doing anything.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's how, when your best player in the locker room is also your hardest worker, and we've been fortunate here in St. Louis. Adam Wainwright's there. Chris Carpenter was that. Matt Holliday, Yachty. We've had so many of those that young guys like you, it sets the stage for you to come in and say, there's a model here, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I can just follow this, I'm going to have a pretty good opportunity to be pretty successful.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's I think the biggest thing that I've noticed here is just, we've got a lot of good players in that locker room, and all of those good players put in a lot of work. Mm-hmm. So it's been really good for me to see.
Last question here before we get you out. What's the biggest adjustment been? So coming up from AAA to the big leagues, that's a big jump, right? So every level, for those that don't know, A ball to AA, it's a big jump. Low A to high A is a big jump. High A to AA, big jump. AA to AAA is a big jump. But AAA to the big leagues is the biggest. Mm-hmm. What's been that adjustment like for you? What are the things that you've really had to adapt to?
I mean, I think every day is kind of you come in here and you've got what AAA's best arm would be every single day on the mound. So just being able to come here and have a good game plan and doing a lot of studying on the different pitchers and how they are attacking guys like yourself as a hitter is much more extensive than what it is in AAA, and just being able to, I think, almost dumb it down in a way so where it's not so much information. I think you got to be able to really solidify what you need and just go with that. It's not like you get up here and you're getting handed all this bunch more information. It's stuff that we've seen through the minor leagues. It's just now, on a level that you got to produce and make it count. So for me, I think the biggest adjustment is just coming in here and facing an ace every day, and being able to have success off of those guys is what's going to make you stay here. So just being able to come out and have fun and still enjoy the game.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast here, and it's been fun for me to watch. Like I said, I got to spend some time with you on the Caravan and got to follow you, from that point on. But to see you come up here and step in here for a team that needed you, and to be a spark and to do what you're doing offensively and defensively has been a lot of fun. Watch you grow and mature here as well as a player and as a person. And so it's been a lot of fun. So congratulations on the success, and thanks again for digging into the Chatter's Box.
Yeah, thank you.